So it's a miserable day today, so I'm going to stay home and get all those little home jobs done. And that means it's a perfect time, really, to give you a seedling update. Partly because I've brought all the seedlings into my grow room, and which is just my conservatory. And so they're all together. And they don't necessarily need to be in here. Normally, actually, they're outside on my little grow bench, where they've been loving the recent sunshine. But I decided to just bring them all in because it's going to be, some quite hard frost, I think, tonight. So the only thing I've still got left outside are potatoes and carrots and things like that, which are just too big to be lugging around and moving inside. So I'll just protect those with fleece. So let's take a look round. So last year we decided to move all of our main growing activity into this conservatory, maybe 2 years ago actually, because of the lockdown. And we weren't sure how often we could get to the allotment, and we were a bit concerned that we might not be able to get there at all. So we decided to move everything here, and it was great. It was the best decision we ever made. We just got rid of the house plants and replaced it with vegetable seedlings, and it's been brilliant, mainly because things change so fast with annuals. There's always something to look at, and they look pretty enough, as good as any of the houseplants that we had in here. Just so much more interesting. So let's take a look. I've got loads and loads of onions just in modules. I don't normally start them in modules like this. The only reason I'm doing this is because I've got nowhere to plant them right now, and I want to get them started. So I'll be planting them out probably in May. But most of my onions I do from seed, and those I've planted out about half of those so far. Did a big batch yesterday. So these are my first early peppers, doing quite nicely, growing pretty big. This is a quarter of my peppers, and I've got a few more scattered around the house. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these. Nice and bushy, nice and stocky, no support canes or anything in those. And then up there, these are most of the rest of the peppers. So let me jump up there and show you. This is the second batch. These are ready for potting on now, and I'll probably do that in the next few days. And then these are my third batch. So I think of these as my main crop batch, and these as my second earlies, and the really big ones are the first earlies. So I've got 2 cucumbers up there in that trough, and pretty soon they'll start flopping over, and I'll trail them along strings along here, and they'll just be dripping with cucumbers, or at least that's the plan. Got a little fan up there just to keep things cool. Here I've got my first early chili peppers, so all those others were sweet peppers. Again, they're looking quite nice. My spare tomatoes and a spare cucumber, so I should be getting rid of those very soon because I'll want this space pretty soon. And then I've got more of those onions, and as I said, those would normally just be outside, but I've just brought them in. Not that a frost will kill them or anything, it's just I decided to bring everything in so I could show you guys. So I've got some spare lettuces there, and then these are my main crop brassicas. So there's colettes, calabrese, kales, red cabbages, cauliflowers. Let's just pull that out a little bit. More kales, more cauliflowers, red cabbages. So quite a nice range there. And then basically same sorts of things there. Brussels sprouts, more kales, and some wild rocket. And then down here, next batch of radishes. Goodness knows how many batches of radishes I've got in the ground now. And we've just finished harvesting the first batch. So next week we're harvesting the second batch. It just keeps on going. Just a few little lettuces that I pricked out a couple of days ago. All the lettuces we're harvesting are on the allotment, and obviously they're, full maturity. I've just planted out my first batch of outdoor lettuces, and they're under fleece in the back garden, and they're growing away nicely, a lot bigger than these. And then here we've got the first early tomatoes, and these are trailing ones. I've got 4 hanging baskets, and I've got 4 bush varieties as well that will just go on windowsills. So they're the first earlies. Second earlies I am actually sowing today. So then we've got the first early main crop potatoes, looking pretty good. And the next one there. And then all the other ones are in the greenhouse. I won't bother showing you those. There's a few just breaking surface in the polytunnel. And these are the early main crops. So that's a pretty important crop for us there. These are the ones we eat from July to August. And then we're just on to our ordinary main crops, which are not even in the buckets yet. Here I've got 2 more cucumbers. You can see I've got actually little cucumbers on there now. And I shall put the strings in soon that go from here and here over there to that hook where the birds are hanging. And I'm not allowed to remove these birds because they're a cherished memory, apparently. And then we've got some beetroot. These are my second early beetroots. The first earlies are pretty big now, actually. They're growing really nicely. About 8 inches tall, somewhere like that. A few flowers, geraniums. And pretty much the last of what we've got in here are the first early French beans. And in a few days' time I shall plant the second early French beans. But yeah, hopefully they'll give us a nice early crop. And there's a few other things worth mentioning. That the first early bud beans, they've got beans on them in the polytunnel now, and they're looking quite nice. Quite pleased with those. Got the first flowers on the strawberries in the polytunnel hanging baskets, and my first early kales and cauliflowers and calabrese and things like that, they are all starting to look really good. We've just started harvesting the calabrese actually, but the cauliflowers are still a few weeks away from harvest, but the kales, yeah, looking really nice. And then in the polytunnel I've just got a few spares, so basically some spare kales, some spare cauliflowers waiting to go out, a few spare cabbages, and I think that is pretty much it. I hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and tomorrow I will be doing my what am I sowing and growing in April and May. I'll see you soon.